Hey everybody, I'm Ayo. Welcome back. This is 8-Minute Morning, a yoga and movement series where we jumpstart your day with a little mindful movement. Today's practice is in planks, so it's going to be a lot of support from the wrists and the hands. I'll quickly go over keeping the wrists supported, but this is definitely a video where you want to feel comfortable taking your weight in your hands. So put on some music, grab what you need, and let's get started. So we're going to start today on the hands and knees, and I'm just going to show some options for the wrists. So if you can just take a look at my wrist right here, and you see that my shoulder is right over my hand, right, making the angle of the wrist pretty sharp. Now, if I were to lift that up, it would take a little off of the wrist, as well as if I were to walk forward a couple inches with my hands. So if you're having a little trouble with your wrists, you could go ahead and try padding underneath just the heel of your hand, letting the fingers come off of the extra padding. You could also practice having your hands just an inch or two forward of your shoulders. Now here, I'm also going to take my fingers, I'm going to reach my fingers out and press down into my fingers and my knuckles. That's distributing the weight like a bridge. So it's just sort of letting the weight go through the hand as opposed to letting it collapse all down on the wrist. Okay, so once you found a good placement for your wrists and for your hands, we're going to inhale and find a cow pose here. You can look up, and then we'll exhale and round and find cat. And I'm going to inhale and look up, find a cow, and I'm going to exhale and round into cat. I'm going to stay in this cat pose this time. I'm going to take the spine between the shoulder blades and I'm going to really push it up towards the sky. Now, I'm not drawing my shoulders to my ears, so I still have a little bit of openness on the top ridge of the shoulders, but I'm thinking about my shoulder blades as separating, right? So they're separating from one another, and I'm taking the spine between the shoulder blades and pushing it up towards the sky. From here, I'm going to tuck my tailbone under a little bit more. I'm going to rock my weight an inch forward. I'm really pressing into my fingers here to protect my wrists, and then I'm going to exhale and rock back. And then just a couple like that. Inhale, rock forward, and exhale, rock back. And again, inhale, rock forward, and exhale, rock back. We're going to come back towards child's pose. I'm going to tent my fingers in this child's pose and walk my fingertips forward. I'm going to bring my head in line with my upper arm bone, so not letting my head come all the way down, but letting myself have a little length on the back of the neck. I'm going to take a couple breaths here. I'm going to plant my hands down towards the floor. I'm keeping the back of my neck long, and I'm not lifting my shoulders to my ears. And then I'm going to gently push into my hands and bring myself back up to my hands and knees. We're going to find that same action on the forearm. So I'm going to inhale, I'm going to find a little cow pose, and then exhale and find a cat. And again, inhale, looking up, and then exhale and rounding. I'm going to stay here again. I'm going to really spread the shoulder blades wide across the back, release any tension in the top line of the shoulder if I can. And then I'm going to do that same thing here. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under a little bit more, rock forward a little bit, and then I'm going to exhale and rock back. And I'll do that again. And exhale, rock back. And once more. Okay, I'm going to send myself back. You could either come to child's pose or downward facing dog. I'm going to take a child's pose with the toes tucked under this time, so I'm stretching out the bottoms of the feet a little bit. I'm going to keep my elbows up off the floor, still thinking of the outside of the armpits as just falling down so that I'm getting a nice drop of the shoulder blades along the back. And come forward again. So I'm just going to do a little stabilization in the shoulders. So I'm going to find the spine that's right between cat-cow for me. So something right in between. I'm thinking of lifting my front body towards my back body, and then I'm going to float my knees just an inch up off the floor. I'm going to breathe here. I'm going to rock my weight forward once, and then I'm going to rock back to downward facing dog. Once you arrive in your downward facing dog, you can make any adjustments that you need to settle into this one. Notice if your shoulders are coming up to your ears, and see if you can soften the outside of your armpit down, or the outside of the shoulders downwards. Right. I'm going to tuck my tailbone here. I'm going to roll myself forward to a cat plank pose. So I'm in cat and I'm also in plank pose at the same time. I'm really separating my shoulders along the back from one another without getting the shoulders up towards the ear. So this is great if you've got winged shoulder blade. I'm spreading space between my fingers, pressing down into my fingers and my knuckles to really keep a lot of energy there. And then I might even do that little tuck under. So I could tuck my tailbone and rock forward a little bit. And then exhale, little rock back. And then a little extra inhale and rock forward. Tuck the tailbone, find the belly. And I'll exhale and rock back. All right, I'm going to send myself back towards a downward facing dog. Again, you could always take child's pose if you like. And then this time I'm going to take a long plank pose. So I'm going to find my collarbones nice and wide. I'm going to look forward, take it nice and long, and then a slow lower down to the floor. You might let your knees hit first and then lower yourself down. I'm going to roll over onto my right side, and I'm going to come up onto my right elbow here. Now, the key to this pose here is that I want a lot of ease here in the top of the shoulder, and I'm thinking about the bottom part of the shoulder blade wrapping into my side body here. So I'm going to push into my elbow so that I start to lift up a little bit there without compressing through here. And then from there, you might keep your knees bent with your feet behind you or have long legs, and I'm going to lift my hips an inch or two up off the floor. So I'm coming into the side plank. I'm wrapping the front of my hip points towards one another to find a little energy in my belly, right? So not letting yourself sag back. And a couple of breaths here. Again, really focusing on that shoulder blade connecting into the side body, into the back muscles. All right, I'm going to bring myself through center. I'm going to come onto my elbows. On this one, I'm going to interlace my fingers. I'm going to find a plank pose here. And then I'm going to do those little rocks back and forth. So I'm going to tuck my tailbone and rock under. And then rock back. You can do whatever breath pattern works for you here. Okay, and then I'm going to come over onto the other side, coming up onto my elbow. Again, same thing here, letting the shoulder blade drop down the back, connecting into the muscles without pushing through here. So I'm really connecting down into these lower muscles. I'm going to push into the elbow, lift myself up, think about my belly wrapping so that my hips aren't swiveling back, reaching the top arm up towards the sky. If you're on your knees, that's fine. If you're not lifting up off the floor, but you have the energy of lifting up, that's fine as well. All right, once more back onto the forearms, interlacing the fingers. I'm going to find a plank pose. I can find a little cat pose here. I'm going to do a little tuck under and a roll forward. And back. I'm going to lower my knees down to the floor, transition my hands back underneath the shoulders, and press back to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Feeling the energy moving through the body as if I could move the breath all the way to the bottoms of the feet and the palms of the hands. Taking that idea of moving the energy through the body, I'm going to inhale forward to a long plank pose. And then I'm going to exhale back, downward facing dog. And then again like that. You could roll forward or you could just rock forward and look forward. So it could be a cat plank or an extended plank. Okay, we're going to just find some bend back and forth in the knees here, just treading the feet out, starting to walk the feet forward towards the hands. Nice juicy joints. I'm going to let the back of my neck soften, and then just gentle hang over the legs. I'm going to keep the knees bent and roll myself up to stand. And then give yourself a little shoulder opener here to end with. So you can reach your arms Out and up, you could grab a strap or interlace your fingers here. I'm going to reach the heels of my hands up towards the sky, maybe even giving myself a little side bend from side to side. You could also practice interlacing the hands behind the back or having a strap behind the back and then pulling that clasp or the strap away from you. All right, finishing placing your hands wherever's comfortable. Take a couple of breaths, just feeling your feet ground down on the floor, top of your head reaching up towards the sky, acknowledging those that came before you on the land that you're on, acknowledging those that came before you whose knowledge you can learn from, and acknowledging those that will come after you. And when you're ready, walking in to start your day. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.